Alright, Travis Wayne Goodsell. You're going to hear a lot of traffic in the background and the air unit in the background. That's just the way it is in my life. I'm not a professional. I'm not here to entertain you. I'm not here to provide a professional video quality thing. It's a vlog. Alright, so the majority of my viewers are those who don't like the Mormon Church. I'm an LDS critic, and most of my playlists are LDS critic themed. And so you're my audience. And according to YouTube's analytics, you're around my age, plus or minus 5 years, and you're male for the most part, and yeah, that's about it on analytics. That's what they allow me to see. They of course sell my data to Russia, so that Russia can then attack with misinformation and disinformation. But it's not so bad on YouTube as it is with Facebook. And I'm not on Facebook. It seems that I'm just not getting the attention. I don't know if people realize the crisis that the church poses. We all know that the church is wrong. We're all in agreement on that, except for the few thumbs downers that come my way. And so the question is, how do we destroy the church? Because I've already taken them to court. I've won by concession, default. But the judge still needs to give an order in order for people to say, oh, we're not touching the church until we are sure that that's what the judge wants. You know, it's like, come on, guys. Everybody's afraid of the church. There's nothing to be afraid of. You just need to stand up, rise up. 10,000 fists. That's all that's needed. Isn't the conference center 10,000 people, or is it 20,000? But yeah, the one lady who yelled out in the October conference was last month thrown in jail or charged or whatever. I'm sure she pled guilty so that she can get out. Shouldn't have done that. Church is a criminal organization. That's what the judge conceded to. And so I've been trying to use YouTube to communicate through vlog how wrong the church is. And I've done all sorts of videos, and the only one that seems to get the people's attention is porn. But Amazon, however, people are Mormons are flocking to my Kindle version of the list of what each and every president of the church has done from Brigham Young. It was just a list. I just found what each president did during each of their terms and had it in a note thing, because that's what you do with research, is you get notes and you put them in order and all that stuff, and Amazon allows you to publish a book if you reach 24 pages. And so I thought, I got 24 pages worth of stuff here, let's publish it. And so some Mormons are upset with the title I chose, and others are like, "Oh wow, this is great stuff. I didn't know." Okay, it's just notes. The real books that I've published, I'm not getting too much attention with them. My Hebrew stuff, yeah, but people are pursuing the other Hebrew stuff rather than the full research of the alphabet for Paleo-Hebrew. And so it appears, or at least I got another idea as to how to go about doing this, is that instead of just clashing with the church by doing what I had proposed to do was to translate the Egyptian documents and fulfill the Ezekiel 37 prophecy of Mormons, which would be a direct clash with Mormons. And of course Mormons are going to be like, no, false prophet, fake news, mistranslator, you don't have the keys, you're not authorized, blah blah blah. So the other one was to do the real church history, and again it's getting limited attention, but again it's smacking in the face of the Mormon box that I've been telling you about for brainwashing. Mormons just can't pull out of their box. So this is what I am considering, is the Defending Joseph Smith Jr. series. The series title is within the Mormon box, because the current church, even though they are using Joseph's church as a front for their criminal organization, they've been lying and deceiving we members, us members, we members, whatever sounds good should be the correct answer. And so I myself pursued ancient languages because Joseph Smith is the founder of the church, and we claim to be the true church on the face of the earth, and the only true church of God, and therefore Joseph Smith is right. And so I thought, okay, well, there's no harm in figuring out how he did it, how he made his translations. And certainly he's the true prophet of God, restored the church, and everything will be fine. And it was a completely different paradigm than what I was anticipating, but because of my education into doing scientific research, not a problem to accept the new paradigm according to the facts and the evidence. But Mormons, however, no, it's not true, it's fake. And so what I think I'll do is pit Joseph Smith against the LDS Church, because the church has thrown Joseph Smith under the bus with the gospel topic essays, with confessing that the Book of Mormon has racist things in it, that Joseph Smith was a polygamist, that Joseph Smith received revelation he had no ability to translate. And so I think that's what I'll do, is Mormons will see the title, they'll go, oh, Joseph Smith, oh, he's the founder of our church, yay! And then they'll read it, and they'll go, wait a minute, he's saying Joseph Smith was right? But the church has been lying to us. We'll see how that goes. Because the Chronicle of Second Coming, whatever I titled that prophet list, was done specifically so that I can find out their fruits. By their fruits you shall know a false prophet or not. And so on. Yeah, I did that specifically to see what fruits have the Latter-day Saint prophets produced. And I found out none that was good. And so that's kind of the interesting part, is that Mormons don't see that that's not fruit that confirms they're legitimate prophets. So, yeah. Will Mormons be able to recognize it when I do this? Because some of the titles that I've got are The Real First Vision, Joseph Smith's Temple Ritual, Assassination of Joseph Smith is a translator, Joseph the Monogamist, Joseph's Doctrine. So you get the pattern, right? Or you get the point, right? And so we need to figure out how to break through to these hard-hearted Mormons who have been brainwashed by their church and who have not the education, such as philosophy of science, which apparently can only be obtained outside of the United States. That's sad. But we'll have to see. Because the books are going to be full on. Joseph is great. Joseph is true. He founded the church. How about you? I amuse myself. But yeah, we'll give that a try. We'll see how that works. It's going to take some time though, because I have to do copy and paste from the right books or type it all out. It'll be 6.5 by or 6 by 9 format size. The translator one will include pictures, obviously. But we'll have to see. What is interesting, though, is that when I did the facts behind the assassination of Joseph Smith, I didn't put in who I was blaming. I just put in the facts. That the hole in the door was too low to have shot Hiram right here. And therefore wouldn't have caused the blood stain on the floor, stuff like that. And I still had one person return the Kindle, and I've had some comments that were not very pleasing. Let's just say they weren't giving me 5 stars. So that was strange. Unless it was an ex-Mormon or an anti-Mormon, which would make sense. But again, they weren't thinking. If the facts don't mean that Willard Richards and John Taylor were telling the truth, what then does it mean? Who is the actual killer? And so ex-Mormons and former Mormons and less actives should all be going, oh crap, rather than putting a thumbs down and 1 star. And Mormons should be going, oh wow, the facts, okay, yeah, he was assassinated. I wonder who did it. Brigham Young, he ordered it. And when you do an investigation of a crime, that's That's what you do. You find out what the person's background are. So you have Willard Richards. You got to do his background. You got to do John Taylor's background, and then you find out that they were in Brigham Young's missionary traveling 12. So then you got to find out Brigham Young, and you find out that he was supposed to be on the East Coast, further south, promoting Joseph Smith for President of the United States that year. And instead he was found in Nauvoo. And so, then you look at his background, and you find out he was Scottish Rites rather than the York Rites that Joseph Smith was a part of. And then you got to do a whole research on Freemasonry and the two different lodges, and what happened in 1826, which was right about the time that Joseph was getting informed by angels about a book. And so, all that information needs to be done for research. And then also, after, who benefited? Brigham Young didn't have prophet, seer, revelator status as a member of the 12, the missionary. It's right there in 124. All Mormons can read it. All Mormons have graduated from high school, which means they've learned how to read and comprehend what they read. And so they can see very clearly Joseph and Hiram were prophets, seers, and revelators. No one else. Joseph also was a translator. So if Joseph didn't pass on succession to anybody, and nobody followed the true succession that Joseph put in 107 verse 21 and 22, then how did Brigham Young all of a sudden become a prophet, seer, and revelator, not translator? And then he went and gave it to his counselors and all of his newly created quorum of the 12? How did that happen? And sure enough, Willard Richards gets made a counselor and given those titles. John Taylor, who cowered under the bed, was still kept as one of the members of the newly formed Quorum of 12. But, because of his faithfulness, the year before Brigham died, he was not happy leaving the church in the hands of Orson Hyde, because Orson Hyde was a vocal opponent during conferences saying that this whole Adam as Heavenly Father nonsense is nonsense. And so Brigham Young had to put him in his place, and so back in 1838, there was that leadership crisis thing that occurred that I spurred on with my Danites. And Orson Hyde was one of those who left the church at that time, but then came back when Joseph Smith got out of jail, and it was put through the Council of the 12 to decide who was to be excommunicated or not. And so, he rearranged the order and the ranking. It was no longer by age, it was now by when you got put in as an apostle. And that's why we have it today. And so, all evidence, overwhelming evidence, convicts Brigham Young. So, showing the facts alone was supposed to be harmless, and yet people still are unhappy with it. Don't you want to know the truth, guys? Those who were put on trial were acquitted. Innocent. Oh, it's a fake jury. Courts are rigged. Oh, yeah, sort of like in Utah by the church. Alright, so that's my plans. We'll see what happens. So YouTube won't be much in the way of series anymore, I guess. I'll just be complaining and moaning and female dogging. You do know what the word for female dog is, right?